Ethan and his cat Marley meandered through the sun-dappled woods on a lazy afternoon hike. Ethan carried Marley in a sling over his shoulder. Marley, a sleek gray tabby with piercing green eyes. "Man, this place is so serene," Ethan said, kicking a stray pine cone. "Right, Marley, total vibe." Marley meowed in agreement. As they wandered deeper, the forest began to change. The trees were taller, their bark glittering faintly like it was laced with stardust. Mushrooms of every color dotted the forest floor, glowing faintly in the growing twilight. Ethan stopped. "Whoa," he muttered, bending down to inspect a cluster of glowing mushrooms. That's when he saw it. Half buried in moss was a glass object, catching the dim light. Ethan brushed the moss aside to reveal a crystalline bong, etched with swirling patterns of vines and leaves. It shimmered as though alive. "Whoa, Marley, do you see this? It's like destiny." Marley tilted his head and gave a slow blink. Ethan, taking it as a yes, pulled out his lighter. The bong seemed to hum in his hands, its bowl already filled with something that smelled like fresh cut grass and mint. "Guess it's rude not to try it," Ethan said. He sparked it up and took a long hit. The smoke swirled unnaturally, glittering green as it filled his lungs. Marley leaned in, curiously sniffing the tendrils of smoke before sneezing. Suddenly the world shifted. The trees around them stretched impossibly tall, their branches forming intricate arches overhead. The mushrooms grew larger, some as big as umbrellas. Ethan and Marley weren't just in the woods anymore. They were in the mushroom forest. "Whoa!" Ethan breathed, looking around in awe. A high-pitched voice interrupted his reverie. "Thank goodness you're here." Ethan turned to see a cluster of tiny green fairies fluttering toward him, their wings sparkling like dew in sunlight. "You're the one who found the pipe of passage, aren't you?" one fairy asked, her voice tinged with urgency. Yeah, I guess so," Ethan said, still trying to process the situation. "Good, we need your help," another fairy chimed in. "The shadow spores are spreading, and if they reach the heart of the forest, all this will wither away." Ethan glanced at Marley, who meowed as if to say, "We're in this now." "All right," Ethan said, exhaling deeply. "Tell me what I need to do." The fairies led them through the forest to a darkened grove where the air felt heavy and damp. Black, spiky mushrooms oozed a sinister-looking substance, and the glow of the forest dimmed around them. "You must use the pipe of passage to purify the spores," the lead fairy explained. Ethan looked at the bong in his hands. "So, like, I just smoke it again?" "Exactly," the fairy replied. Ethan shrugged, packed another hit, and lit up. This time, the smoke was different. It poured out of his mouth in thick, glowing streams that danced through the air like living vines. The smoke wrapped around the dark mushrooms, dissolving them into harmless puffs of light. Marley, not one to be left out, pawed at the glowing smoke, swatting it toward the mushrooms, which crumbled under its touch. "You're a natural," one fairy cheered. As Ethan and Marley continued their smoky crusade, the forest brightened. The dark spores vanished, replaced by vibrant mushrooms and blooming flowers. The fairies cheered, their tiny voices ringing like wind chimes. When the last spore was gone, the lead fairy hovered before Ethan. "You've saved our home. Thank you, traveler." "All in a day's work," Ethan said, grinning lazily. But, how do we get back?" The fairy tapped the bong, which glowed brighter. "One more hit, and it will guide you home." Ethan obliged, taking one last puff. The world swirled around them, colors blending and spinning, until, with a soft pop, they were back in the regular woods. The bong was gone, but the faint smell of mint lingered in the air. Ethan looked down at Marley, who stretched lazily in his sling. "Did that just happen?"